If I medicine you, I'd make a brain tumor look like a birthday present.
Good day, everyone. My name is Still Guns, and I welcome you back to World of Tanks. Now, my family has this sort of weird tradition, in a way. I say tradition, it's not really a tradition. But since my mum and my dad never married, that means I have to somehow spend Christmas time with both parents, even though they live nearly 200 miles apart. So, for a week, I spent my time at my mum's house. Unfortunately, I've not been able to spend my time at my dad's, but anyway, that's not what you want to hear, is it? My mum has internet access, and I've been able to make some pretty nice progress on World of Tanks. And by nice, I mean not tier 9. Yeah, I would have loved the IS-8, but unfortunately, I'm not that close. But seriously, all that times 5 that you could get for that week or so on the premium tanks, it could lead up to about 7,000 experience. Now, I'm not an especially good player, so it's no real surprise that I didn't get 10,000 experience. But it was able to go to use, and that helped me in unlocking not just many tanks on the new British medium tank destroyer line, but also a few of the golden oldies, such as this beauty. This is my first and so far only game in the Tiger 2. Oh dear, oh. Yes, stock Tiger 2, stock turret. Even a T-71 was having would have no problem penetrating this thing's turret.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the Porsche turret, stock turret. And you can imagine that this game did not go especially well. Yeah, mainly because I took it up to the wrong place. Tips on playing the Tiger 2, people? I don't honestly know right now, because the turret is currently not at all good. Seriously. Look, even a T-25-2 penetrated. A T-69, they both have 170mm of penetration. That's not especially good at this tier, but for 100mm of frontal armor, it's enough. So I suppose I'm doing the right thing here, using a lot of auto-aim because I was playing on my bed. Bed does not offer a lot of traction, but just sniping, really. Shoot through the building in order to get a shot at the T-25-2. Need another shot there, mate. There we go, T-25-2 is exposed. Put another one into him. Could have been a slightly higher roll. There's an IS. One of the few shots that week that wasn't on the auto-aim. No, seriously, I did use auto-aim a lot though. And this SU-152, how the hell is he doing that? Seriously, that gun he's using is what, 0.5 accuracy? How the hell was he managing all these hits? Oh look, there's another T-25-2. Reverse, full speed, no gun depression, another lowish roll. Well. When it comes to the intensity of battles, this has a scale of about a 3 or 4 on a scale of 10, that is. So, I didn't do a lot of damage. I think I did at least 1,000 though, so that's alright. It does say up in the corner 900. That I'll do 927 or something like that. But no, I did manage a hit on that IS when he was blind, when he was invisible. So yeah, 1,000 damage game. It was. I just wanted the ×5 because this was also the last battle I was able to play that week. I went home the next day. How do you manage that? Bounce off a T-71. Well, I suppose if the angle is high enough. But notice that I haven't moved, and I'm pretty much an arty magnet. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen. They don't bother, do they, Artie? They don't go for the tanks that have a lot of health. They just try going for the kills. Though I suppose it makes sense because, you know, they're trying desperately to reduce the number of tanks on the enemy team. And they've done that. They have taken that number down. But of course it wasn't enough. GW Panther, last guy left. Yeah, that guy was screwed. And so from the cool complexion of Germany and Prokhorovka onto the rather unfinished touches of the Chinese and the battle-damaged fiery salient. Or basically just Prokhorovka on fire. And this is quite a rarity. This is the WZ-111, as in the Tier 8 111. This was one of the first, I think it was the first Chinese tank made for the game, but it wasn't released. At least not over here. You can get it on the Chinese server, but not over here. And I don't know what made them do it, but the Wargaming EU decided to make this a little event where you can get it. I'm sure you know which event. And I've got it. Took a while. It meant I had to forego any platoons with my little brother and just play purely high damage tanks. In the end though, I didn't play many French or Japanese games. The French tanks just don't cut it for me, and the Cheeto has put me off the Japanese tanks. I mean, I love the Japanese tanks, but I just don't play them a lot anymore. No idea why. So in the end, I got 5 of the tokens by myself, and I bought the final 2 with money. So I made most of the effort. Didn't mean I became a better player though. That being said, my WN8 has gone up to 866, so yeah, that's good. How is it different from the 112? It's not really that different. It's faster. It has a slightly less armoured turret, but it's pretty much got the same strengths and weaknesses. Almost exactly the same. Now you're probably thinking that a tank with very little gun depression would be useless up here, but you'd be surprised. I might not be able to get the gun down the hill and shoot at that T-30 or the IS, But I don't necessarily have to. This tank does have medium tank speed, more so than the 112. And the armor is well, it's certainly not bad. It's sort of on the thickness of the 112's armor, but it's also got some angling. However, it does also have that very same lower glacis weak spot. Now, pay attention to that shot. Keep it in mind. Because I'll show you the results screen of this match a little later. I didn't have a results screen for the Tiger match. Happened too quickly and it wasn't good enough. That T30 down there has just fired, I'm pretty sure. Oh, there's a KV3. Okay, I'm getting a bit mixed up. KV3 first. Because, you know, shoot the weaker targets. And there's that Waffenträger. He's lost some health. Don't use auto-aim. I could have tracked him had I not used auto-aim. Could have got another shot into him. Now there's a Tiger over there, firing HE, and this T30 is obviously reloading. Goodbye, sir. And there's still... oh. Okay. Tiger is still firing HE. Waffenträger fired HE and didn't do a lot of damage. There's an AT-15 that's probably using the 17-pounder gun. And we just lost a T-34. How do you manage that, sir? There's the Waffenträger again. He's just fired, he's moving back, and a nice little damage roll. Could have been higher, but oh well. 349 will suffice. And here's where that armor comes in. Another shot, it's just been deflected. No shots like that Super Pershing. But let's just try and find that Waffenträger again. Oh, there he is. Gun suppression let me down, but then... hello, sir. Special delivery. Boom! And he is gone. For good. Now, here is how to be crazy in a WZ-111. IS-2 on full health. Getting shot at, of course. Enemy artillery still in play. Can't see the enemy, even though you're firing at them and they're somehow not getting hit. IS-2 now not on full health. Time to rush him, lads. But that Tiger's HE has just taken out my gunner, but I can still take out that IS-2 anyway. Kill the gunner. Oh, can we repair the tracks? Well, we're not going to. Still can't see the enemy, but I know he's behind that bush. And move out just in time for artillery to smack a shell where I used to be. You poor sod. But I'm still getting shot at. And there's the Tiger 1. How the hell did he survive those shots I poured into that bush? Well, now he won't. Tiger 1 still desperately firing the wrong ammunition. It stands to reason he's using the short ATA. Can't blame him, I suppose. Blame? I don't know if I'd blame him for it. Can't fault him. It's not his fault that that gun has poor penetration. And the final tank has been taken down. Oddly enough, that game was only enough for a second class mastery, which means some very good players have already got their hands on it. But look, there's a steel wall and I got a spotter award. Grand total about 2,500 damage. And also, I got some spotting damage. Not even 1,000, but still, how? How can you let that happen? How to spot in a WZ-111. From Tier 8 power to Tier 4 mediocrity. And from Fiery Salient to Muravanka. This is one of the brand new British tanks. It's technically American though. This is the Grant cruiser tank. That was what it was called. Technically it's M3 Grant, but it's not M3. It has the same name as my dad. And I think this tank is better than the Lee. Well, that's really a matter of opinion. The armour is still as bad as the Lee. It has the same great traverse speed, but it's, for all intents and purposes, a Lee. Except it gets a choice of 3 guns as opposed to 2. And one of those guns is a British 6-pounder. Now it's only the Mark III. It's the sort of the worst of the 6-pounders. Bad aiming time, bad accuracy, 105mm of penetration, only 75 damage. This gun has worse DPM than the 75mm M3, but I'm using this gun simply because of that rate of fire and the fact that it has just that little bit more penetration as opposed to the M3 gun. And you'll just see how this tank can tear others apart. Look, there's another Grant. Three shots in. Unfortunately, that accuracy does let me down a bit there. And here's where that poor armor comes in. A BT7 is penetrating. Not sure with what gun, but yeah. He's already taken off a fair amount of my health. Not good. But someone in a gross tractor takes him out. There's a Hetzer. Dangerous little tank there, Hetzer. Using a howitzer. That's the Hetzer was never ever equipped with. He's still there, hiding out in the plain open site thing. Get a shot into him, and then T40 and SU-76. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that T40 was using the stock 75mm howitzer, and I have my reasons for believing that, because you'll see some of the damage rolls he does. They're not exactly high. And there's my reasoning for believing that. He just did 23 damage. Yeah, that's not very high. But this gun fires faster than it aims, which means you can't use it as effectively as you would like. SU-76 got a bit cocky there. M3 Lee. Only shot to get into him before. T40 fires another shot at me, only 24 damage this time. M3 Lee is taken out, and that Covenanter he just wants to come over here. He just wants to attack me, and I'm trying to deter him. But it's not easy, especially when there's an M2 medium firing HE at you as well. 17 damage this time. Similar amount of hit point or damage done. But he's capping, we need to get rid of that capping, capture points. And then that T40 did 2 damage to me. He hit the side of my tank and he does 2 damage. Yeah, Not a lot of sense made there. AMX-40, he's one of the best tanks to go in there and to take out that M2. And there's the Hetzer again. Still can't see the T-40. I think we've seen the last of him. That M2 medium just doesn't really stand a chance.
I'll handle this, Angel. Cover my back. I'll handle this, Angel. Cover my back.
And here's the thing about that 6-pounder. If you bounce, you have another shot loaded in less than 2 seconds. Oh no, T-40 has just put another shot into us. 7 hit points. Magical. But artillery is still in play. We lost ours quite early on, but they still have theirs. And he just took me down from 110 health to 7. And I know now that my usefulness is pretty much over. I've got to stop taking as much as a role in this game now. But who'd have thunk that Panzer XcfL4B would decide, I need to try and win this game. Let's do what no artillery does, except for F304s, and rush the cap. Yeah. He's coming towards the cap. None of us know it yet, but he's gonna pop up any moment now. Any moment, he'll be popping up. As I go to hunt down the T-40 with the Gross Tractor, there he is. There's Artie. And he makes the mistake of shooting at me. Yep. Decided, no, we're gonna lose. Let's take out the lead rather than the AMX-40 who's capping. I don't understand. He completely ignored the AMX. Well, there's that T-40. This game is done. That was my last piece of damage. And Gross Tractor will get the T-40. Now, at this point, I wasn't sure which I was going to put first. Either the game in the Tier 7 British Tank Destroyer, the new one that is, or the Tier 6 Medium Tank, the new one that is. But, well, since the only good enough game I could really find in the brand new Sherman Firefly was a bad one, yeah, I decided to put this one first. I've only played 3 games in the Challenger so far, and I've played dozens in the Firefly. But even so, I just can't find my niche with the Firefly. I can never find myself doing more than 1,500 damage. I know it's capable. I want to do 2,000 damage, but I just never seem to be in the right place at the right time. And this thing is, well, the gun is, of course, legendary. It's really good. But the armor is really very bad. It's only about 76mm at the most, even on the turret. So you can't really afford use the turret to save yourself. And its top speed is sluggish. It only reaches about 36 kilometers an hour. That's not very fast, especially since this thing's closest counterpart, I suppose, is the M4A3E8 or the EZ8. And whilst the EZ8 doesn't get as good a gun, it's certainly faster, and it can avoid the damage. That being said, I don't know about the EZ8. But this tank gets a vertical stabilizer, and that can come in handy, really handy, especially coming up to now. Now, our M6 has foolishly engaged an A43 who has just destroyed him, and our Chi, he is incapable of fighting back because he's using the wrong gun. He's using a sort of that stubby 75mm that is basically a howitzer. And our Fury in chat tells us to just rush them, because he took almost 2 tanks down by himself. Yeah, not quite sure if that was good enough advice for him. But I decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna rush headlong, because this A43 did not seem like he wanted to come around until about now. And he sees me, I see him. However, he does have backup in the form of a Stug 3G, who misses his first shot. And here's that awesome gun in play. And the vertical stabilizer. Unfortunately, shot goes low and hits the ground. That A43 is a dangerous target. He can reload in less than 3 seconds. But he's already on low health thanks to his engagement with the M6. That being said, he does get 2 shots into me. And the Stug 3 is coming back. And yeah, let's focus on the Stug 3. Unfortunately, even angling the side armor on this tank is just not good enough to repel its 75mm gun, and I take full damage from that, above average. But the A43 messes up. He fires a shot into the wreck of the M6 and dies. Now, there was a bit of a confusion about this guy's battle rating. As we can see, he's not a very nice person. But this guy had 1,000 battles and about 1,000 WN8, which places him in the green category for my version, my build of XVM. Which meant he was probably playing a second account, or he really was just that good. I mean, I know someone called Mr. Captain Odd, who started about the same time I got back into the game, and by the time he had 8,000 games, he was far better than me. He had his first tier 10 in just a few months. So yeah, maybe this guy was that good, 1,000 games, but the Fury gets it wrong and thinks that the 1,000 battle rating isn't, oh, he's had 1,000 battles, but that's how good he is, which 1,000 battle rating is apparently not very good. That's not his battle rating, mate. After the battle, the A43 just thought I was the one calling him the noob. No, it was the Fury, mate. I'm pretty sure I didn't call you noob. He did play well, but he just made mistakes. We all make mistakes. And the enemy KV-1S driver made the mistake of being unhistorical. Now, I'm quite a big pusher for historical accuracy on this game. I would really appreciate if Wargaming took the howitzers off the tanks that never had howitzers, a la Panzer IV and KV-1/KV-1S. VK3001P firing APCR even though he doesn't need it, and there's the KV-1S. Here's a mistake I made though. I should not have engaged this KV-1S alone. I should have waited for the M7. But my mistake. He fired heat, and miraculously he fires again on the move. On the move, which means his gun was unaimed, completely unaimed, and I just don't understand how you do that. How everyone else except me, man. I mean, he does it again. Why everyone else and not me? And here's our final game of this video, and it's the last battle I played in my Challenger. It's almost stock. It's got the top gun. It's got, I think, the top engine, but everything else is pretty much stock. But basically it's an elongated Cromwell with a TOG 2 turret. Well, technically the TOG 2 has a Challenger turret, but this turret turns so slowly. And I'm not sure if that's really reflecting this how this vehicle performed in real life, but oh well. Now the Challenger, if the Challenger compared to the Sherman Firefly came before the Sherman Firefly, but in the end the Firefly was just cheaper because the Americans were building bunches of Shermans, and this new elongated Cromwell chassis was a bit more complicated to build and for just a brand new 17-pounder gun platform, so the Sherman was chosen and 200 of these were made. One thing that I've seen is that it was really slow. No, it wasn't. It was still just as fast as a Cromwell. Armor protection, I'm not sure. It's certainly not very high. This turret, despite being almost exactly the same one used on the TOG, it doesn't have that frontal armor. And when you upgrade this tank with the second turret, it becomes the Avenger. Though I seem to remember that the Avenger looks very different from the Challenger. Now there goes a Sherman Jumbo, thinking that because he's in a Sherman Jumbo, he's invincible, and he's not. Though he does manage to bounce a fair amount of shots. And that's one of the problems with this tank, called TD. It doesn't get a 20-pounder gun like its counterpart, the 87, which means its penetration is somewhat low for its gear, the damage is somewhat low, the only saving grace is the rate of fire, and I'm not really quite sure about that, because rate of fire and accurate gun with low penetration doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna do well all the time. Well, I've finished shooting at ghosts. The flank appears to be falling. IS-3, T-34, and that should not have hit the ground, but oh well, it did. And IS-3, I didn't think this shot was gonna penetrate, but it did, and it lucky me, I hit his ammo rack. Tiger 2, and bounced my second shot. You're kidding me. However, good thing I was watching the minimap, or was it? Yeah. The instant I saw the T-69 on the map, I panicked and did not run to the safety of the town. I tried to run away into the open. Yes. Well played. Not. Well, it appears that's all we've got time for this episode of World of Tanks. I'll see you in the next one, folks. And good night. Cue the credits.